Hey there, YouTube friends. Maths Bandit here with another episode of Surfside Pleasure Pier. I think this is episode number 4 already. Holy crap. 4 days and 4 episodes. Cool. I'm down with that. Hopefully you are too. A big thanks to all of you guys out there for all of your amazing support these last few days. I really appreciate all the comments and all the likes, all the views, all the new subscribers. If you're one of those new subscribers that just found me with the vintage DLC pack, I hope you stick around. I really appreciate you, as well as all you friends that have been around for quite a while now. I also really appreciate. I appreciate you. I can't believe how crazy these last few days have been. It's been really nice, and it's nice to have so many eyeballs on the content, on what I'm making. It's why I do it. It's why I build. I build to show other people, and it's been really nice to see such a jump in activity on my channel. I mentioned in the previous episode that you can't expect this kind of output, and it's true. I can't do this for much longer. I'm going to be needing to take a little break, a day or two, to do some other things, and I've been pushing really hard the last several days. On this since the day or two before Vintage came out. I've been working pretty much exclusively on this, and I've been working way more than I normally do on Planet Coaster. So I need a break so I don't burn out, so you don't burn out, so that it's still fresh and fun. So when I say break, I mean like we're gonna take a couple days off while I prepare the next episode. But I got a whole bunch of other things on the channel that I'd like to show you guys, so hopefully a bunch of you will stick around for that. I do encourage you to stick around for the new stuff. Or it's not new, it's just non-Planet Coaster stuff. But after today, this 4th episode, expect this Pleasure Pier a couple times a week. Hopefully a minimum of 2. I want to get this out and on the workshop and within 10 to 12 episodes. I guess that would mean in the next episode we're halfway done. I don't think that's going to happen. So what I might do is I might build a lot off camera and then just come in and record and show everything I've done. I'm not sure yet. What I actually did end up doing in this episode, or after I recorded this episode, so I went in and I trimmed up the pier again. It's too big. It's far too big. That coaster, you could barely see it here as we work on the entrance. By the way, that's what we're working on today. I'm working on the entrance. It's an arch that's inspired by Riverview Amusement Park in Chicago. I mentioned that was one of my inspirations. This entrance is a direct rip of that, more or less, a little bit of tweaks. But for the most part, it's essentially what you would have seen if you went to Riverview Amusement Park in the north side of Chicago. So that's what this is as we build it here. Scale got to me a little bit. I ended up starting way too large and shrinking it quite a bit. But speaking of scale, if you look, that coaster that we did in the last episode is freaking like decades away. It's way too big. All the things I've been looking at online have shown that they're not that big. Like, pier parks aren't that big. I shouldn't be able to easily fit several coasters on a pier. That doesn't seem right. So I did. I shaved it back. I made it shorter, and I made it narrower, and I might even go in and do some more of that, depending on how things go. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. We're going to find out. So anyway, to this entrance thing here, this arch, I really dig it. I really like the inspiration, and I think I did a pretty okay job with realizing it in Planet Coaster. Here we're going to have a lot of windows as walls in this build, because we just don't have an arch shape that's big enough and in the material that I need. So I decided to go ahead and just make it work. There's really no easy way to do this. As you can see, I mirrored it and then I ended up having to just flip them all around and make sure they lined up. It's a tedious process. Nothing like what my bro Mike is doing. Hopefully a bunch of you have checked out his series. He's just starting it. It's his take on Pleasure Pier. And he was working on his entrance to California Screamin', and he had to do some arches, much more complex than what I'm doing here. But yeah, so he knows full well how difficult these arches are. If you haven't checked out his series, you need to go do that. He's back now, and he's doing a solo series, which is really cool, and I am too. So between the two of us, we actually have more Planet Coaster content than we've had in a long time. Meanwhile, Rubel's been working his tail off on No Name Landia, and that's looking great. So lots of good things for Planet Coaster. I love when a new DLC comes out. It kind of just energizes a community for a while. So it's really nice to see. So the underside of the arch here, always a pain in the arse, and just to be honest with everybody, not all that spectacular. Kind of a pain, but totally worth it. Once it's done and you look back at it and you're like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Like, it's worth it. Totally worth it. So I've been really enjoying the vintage pack. I think it's nice. Excuse me, pardon me. I think it's a nice addition. I'm still trying to find places to use it. I'm curious how much I'll be able to use it outside of this park. We haven't even included any of the flat rides yet. That'll be coming up real soon. All the flat rides in the pack I think are pretty cool, and we'll probably end up on the pier here just because that's kind of what I want to do. So back to our little archway here. Lots of little detail here. Lots of that, I think it's carnival detail is what it's called. That's direct from the inspiration. You can also see the lattice on either side here. I really liked that in the inspiration photo that I was working on. So since we did lattice in the last episode, I figured it would make sense to include it here. And then we're trying to figure out a dome that works that isn't the exact same as the other dome. Ends up being the other dome, and we actually use an adventure wall block piece there to be a smaller piece of stucco, and I think it works quite well. Those concrete, I guess they're concrete. Those concrete blocks from the adventure pack are so spectacular. I never use them in an adventure setting, so I'm curious to see here in the vintage pack what I'm going to be able to use in an everyday situation. So some of the details going to be really great. Tried to use the new font to put Surfside across the top. Then Haplo, who has some excellent fonts on the workshop, decided to use one of his and still just wasn't feeling it. I'll come back to it. Either I'll do my own or I'll find another font. Ooh, excuse me, bumped my mic. Or I'll find another font that I really like. Not sure what I'm going to do with that, but we need to have it say Surfside, at least, if not Surfside Pleasure Pier, somewhere on that arch or near to it. So here we're working on a little ticket booth that actually ends up not getting used, but I kept it. I just moved it off into the sand. But taking advantage of more of the vintage pack, and just there's something about these 1x1 stalls that I think are really kind of cute if you can pull them off. Like, you have to detail them and make them look like they're supposed to be that small. But like, my thought is if I don't use them here at the beginning of the boardwalk, putting them in sporadically throughout, like, I'd assume this pier is a walk-on attraction, or as a walk-on pier where you pay per attraction. I know down here in Galveston there is a fee just to walk on the boardwalk, but then all the attractions cost money as well. So you can get like an all-day ride pass, or you can get like an under, I think it's 46-inch pass, or you can get just an entrance to the pier pass. But I would assume that once you go in there, there's ticket booths, so you can buy ride tickets. So maybe we'll spam those somewhere else in the pier. And then here I wanted to block off kind of an entrance area. Maybe some office buildings or something. But once I decided to move the ticket booths, this area is actually going to become the new ticket area, which I think ended up looking pretty good. I did try something, and I cut it out of the video. I had a chair swing ride, elevated with stalls underneath it, and it looked cool. but it didn't fit this area at all. It made the arch look insignificant, and it didn't even show off the chair swing all that well. So maybe that's an idea I'll revisit later on in the series as we start adding more rides and more shops and stuff. So, but back to this little entrance, this ticket booth here. This is one of the only times I've actually used these full height or these full-sized spooky mansard roofs. They're huge. They're as most things in Planet Coaster, they're huge. But they actually, I think they work well here to kind of give that almost, like, I don't know, not forced perspective, but this whole just vibe of this whole pier scene. I think the larger roofs there actually do well. I had some struggles with this roof here until I realized that the roof was actually part of the quote pier building. It's not part of the main building that I'm trying to attach it to. So that was a pain in the butt, and it didn't work quite as well as I wanted it to. So it took me a while to figure out what was actually going on, and then once I did, I was able to fix it pretty quickly. But yeah, little oopsie there. Mixing the colors here, we have like a darker gray on these buildings, and then I was using almost a light cream color on the other building that I ended up deleting, and I didn't show in the video, but I had to remember that I was using a color that wasn't around anymore, so that's why some of the colors are a little off for a while there. The final portion of the video here as we progress will be a bit of a nighttime. One of the things I don't do a lot of, night lighting, but I thought part of the fun of a pier is all the popcorn lighting and stuff like that, so I'm going to try my best to do that. We'll see how that turns out. You'll see in a few minutes the beginnings of it. Lighting, not my another thing that's not really my strength, but trying to work on it and get better at it. So adding some doors in here. I'm not sure if this is a peep-friendly door or if this is like a staff-friendly door. Once I throw the information desk, the ticket booths in next door or along the long wall there, the door kind of loses its function. So I'm not sure. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. I figure maybe it is like a little gift shop that you can walk into. I don't know. So use your imaginations, I suppose. So here we are putting in those ticket booths, as I was saying. I actually really like the way this turned out. I think it's really nice. You go off to the side, buy your tickets, and hop onto the pier. I think that works real well. As you can see, the color scheme's kind of a really dark bluish purple with more teal and orange. I like that color combination. I think that's a solid color combo. The issue is the Ferris wheel that I've already plopped down, as well as part of the coaster, has the same colors in it. So I want to make sure that I don't do too much with that, and that I actually am able to have a bunch of different colors. One of my things I end up doing is I end up getting too attached to specific color schemes, and they show up throughout the entire park, and that's not realistic at all. That's not what I want at all. So hopefully I'll be able to avoid that as we progress here. So adding the popcorn lighting now, and I make sure to use some of the darker yellows and off-whites, and because when you use just the whites, it's way too bright, way too bright. And this is all going back to the reference image again. The arch and all the little details are outlined by bulbs. So I wanted to do most of that here in our version. I like it. I think it adds a bit of retro kind of pop that's needed for a park like this. So yeah, I think it turned out quite well. And here we are with working on a little bit of lighting. Again, just trying things out. Not sure what's going to stick, if any of this is going to stick. But I kind of like the warm colors on bottom with the cool colors on top. I think that's a nice contrast. So I'm pleased. Maybe not these area lights that are sunken in. I might raise them up and put them inside the arch to get them glowing, casting light in the opposite direction. this whole underlit thing's a little funky, but then we end up doing some of the same techniques that we did on the arch to this entryway here, and I do like the way these pillars illuminated, and fiddling with color, realizing the farther down I go, the less intense it is, and it just casts this nice warm glow, and that's kind of what I want, so I'm happy with the way the lighting, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the way the beginning of the lighting turned out, and it's kind of a template for how we'll continue on as we go here. So with that being said, we are nearing the end of our video, of our time lapse. So let's enter the cinematics. And I'd like to ask that if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button below. It really helps quite a bit. And I'd also like, if you are new and just found me through the DLC here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're going to be taking a break from Planet Coaster tomorrow, but you're going to be seeing some really cool things. So do stick around. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I'll see you real soon. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.